Are you a sex educator or a workshop facilitator who's afraid of speaking to large audiences? Do you wish you could be better, more powerful when you give interviews or speaking on a podcast? Would you like to get rid of your fear of cameras, or at the very least, make the camera your friend? Well, all of that is possible, and I'd like to help. My name is Reed Mahalko. I'm the creator of readaboutsex.com, Sex Geek Summer Camp, and Sex Geek Conservatory. 3 days devoted to helping you become a more charismatic and thrilling sex educator, speaker, anything you want to be. And I'm in this beautiful theater right now about to create and teach a little workshop about public speaking and how we can be more relaxed, more charismatic, more powerful as sex educators, educators in general, if you're a sex-positive educator or a sex-positive entrepreneur, and how we can be savvier as workshop facilitators. And I realized as I was setting up the camera and getting ready to teach today, and I've still got some time before people show up, I figured I would just flip the camera and sit in the theater and kind of do my Siskel and Ebert situation here, and just share with you some nerdery, some geekery on how we can become more powerful speakers, more powerful facilitators. And at some point, somebody's going to walk through that door, and I'm going to have to stop. So this might be a short video, it might be a long video. The first thing to share as a sex educator who's been around for over a decade now, and as somebody who gets on television a lot, perhaps you've seen me on Netflix, sitting next to Chelsea Handler from her documentary series, Chelsea Does. I'm in the marriage episode. Maybe if you're a Lisa Ling fan, when she was on Our America, which is on the Oprah network, I actually threw a workshop and a play party for their Swingers episode. If you're a reality show fan, Bravo TV had their Misadvised, and I ended up helping out Emily Morse with some dating advice and how to negotiate successful threesomes and how to just be a better kisser. And I believe that part of what allows me to be on television as often as I do, and some of that's marketing and just being good at the business of getting my name out there, is that I built a really good reputation for being a great speaker, like being fun and playful and charismatic, and being authentic in front of the camera. And that has a little bit of a history because a long time ago, a few lifetimes ago, I was an actor in New York City and then also working in film and TV, doing production and things like that. So I actually had a lot of opportunity to be in front of the camera and get used to working with people, giving interviews and things like that, and having it be on a set or on a stage or in a room where I was in front of people. And before that, I was also a martial arts instructor for many, many years. So I was already kind of, used to being in a situation where I was trying to help people and using my voice and trying to be accessible to get people to make changes in their lives, to have transformations. And now, as a sex educator that has the pleasure of working with other sex educators, and as a nerd that gets to go to a lot of conferences and see a lot of our peers and our friends and colleagues speak and give presentations, is as a nerd about performance and how we weave education into kind of an edutainment format. One of the things I'm seeing that would be really useful for just our industry in general is if people had more choice and more range in how they decide, and not in how they decide, but how they choose to teach. Of course, like if you're sitting on a television set, on a talk show or something like that, you can't be jumping around the room and being nutty and crazy if that is your self-expression. But when you're in front of a group of, a workshop group, or in a large auditorium, if you sit down and try to be the same way that you would be on a talk show interview, it's very possible you're going to lose your audience. And again, like on television, if you're jumping all around, unless you're Tom Cruise jumping up and down on a couch with Oprah, you can lose your audience there too. So the big question, or the big thing to think about is like, how do you develop and enhance your ability to have kind of different settings or different modes when you're teaching, so that it's appropriate for the setting and the environment that you're in, and then how do you develop that ability to kind of connect with people, whether it's one-on-one interview, one-on-one coaching, or connect with a large group of people, or even a small group of people. And those things for me are a particular area of like, how do you just become a better teacher, better facilitator? And so that particular area of geeking out and nerdery is important and very, very useful for me. And then the other piece that's really useful is how do you find your true self-expression in those particular modes? Because not everybody needs to be the golden retriever on espresso of sex education like myself. We need a lot of different diverse voices and a lot of different self-expressions in this industry so that the people who will gravitate towards the educators that they feel connected with. Some people like my energy and find it refreshing. They like my sense of humor and my goofiness, and that helps them feel less afraid of the topics that we're discussing. And then some people need somebody who's a little bit more, reserved or shy, or just people that look different, so that they're like, oh, you look like me, educator, and I want to follow your advice. So as you start wrestling with this or unpacking this idea of like, what are these different modes and what makes for good facilitation on a podcast interview when you're trying to teach versus when you're in a room in front of an audience of 700. And then there's also just like microphone skill sets and things like that that just make you better when you're speaking. But then like, what's your self-expression as an educator in these particular kinds of modes? Because if you try to force it and be zany and you're not a zany person, the audiences are pretty savvy. They're looking for authenticity. So there's a certain kind of fake it till you make it that works when you're faking it towards who you actually are and you're just getting better as a teacher. But then there's a kind of faking it where it's just fake. So how do you avoid the fakery while pushing towards or growing towards your self-expression so that you can just be more relaxed and more yourself when you're teaching, which is kind of the point to a lot of our advice when we're helping people become more empowered, like how to be more themselves, more authentic in their relationships, how to be more relaxed and at ease and self-expressed in their sex lives. So the interesting, neat part here is it's very geeky and meta, that we can take some of the advice that we already give people around being grounded and being present, and how do we apply that to stage? And in this quick video, the third thing to start figuring out is where do you get this kind of experience? Where do you get this kind of practice? And so some of the things that I would recommend is go take an improv comedy class if there's one nearby. That can be really, really useful and helpful and just plain darn fun. You can go take, a public speaking course, kind of like Toastmasters, and that's going to be really useful. But again, like Toastmasters, is a little bit more reserved, and I'm giving a lecture, I'm giving a presentation. So just understand that the way that you give a lecture may be very different than the way you teach a workshop. And then the third thing, which I'll share in another video, is you might want to come to some of my classes. Sex Geek Conservatory is devoted to exactly that, where we'll make public speaking fear you and give you practice to learn better microphone skills, get comfortable in front of the camera, be able to watch yourself because we'll record things, or just start teaching workshops, giving lectures. Maybe a workshop to your friends for free, beta test a class, get out in front of people, submit a proposal to a conference, maybe like CatalystCon or Woodhull Sexual Freedom Alliance, their Sexual Freedom Summit, or the National Sex Ed Conference. Like present, give a talk, pitch a talk and give a talk so that you can get some experience under your belt about being up in front of a group, doing a discussion panel. The way that I teach in a workshop or on a stage with 700 people is similar in a certain way to how I'll be on a discussion panel or when I'm moderating a discussion panel, because I want to be entertaining and alive and lively, but at the same time, I'm going to dial it in to those specific, to this specific environment and intention I'm trying to fulfill on. So those are your 3 things to think about today, which is like different situations or settings on your phaser of being a public speaker, different environments for public speaking. What's your self-expression as a sex educator, as a sex-positive professional? And then where could you get some practice? Where could you go to seek out and kind of anchor these skills? So those are the 3 areas I want you to focus on today. And if you want to leave a comment below, please do, and answer one of those 3 questions for yourself. Share this video with your friends, and whether you ever consider coming to Sex Geek Conservatoria or not, I hope this information helped you. It helps our industry so that we can all become just better workshop facilitators and educators in general. We can give better interview when we're in front of cameras and on podcasts. We can just be better and more engaging when we're doing coaching one-on-one or with couples. I want to help everybody have more fun and less anxiety and embarrassment being a public speaker or workshop facilitator. So please share this video, leave a comment below, and I'll see you next video.